Smart financial decisions brought to you by Feed the...
NathanIvy.com. Mr. Ivy know the show must go on. And far as Cincinnati, man, I put on. Tunes made another flame beat for me to cook on. Raised arms, closed fists, yeah, too strong. Team NI, chop it up at the chop shop. Top notch with the king flow, the hot shot. Cop squats in, listen to the real, jumping like hopscotch. Nobody harder than, oh, no, think not. Not only citywide, but nationwide. Superlative, keep it locked like them Haitian guys. Put the truth in the airwaves, we talk about it. Brand new like the templates, let's be about it. Who got the info by the AM? John O. B. the rapper, got them jamming when they play him. Staying in my lane, they ain't gotta okay him. Who the host with the scoop? Yeah, they gon' say him. Ivy, so superlative like a bag of Grippos. Show you where the bricks at, Cincinnati red tag. One time where my people at. Team NI, where my people at. It's the 513, yeah, you know the flow. What's the word, Nate? Let them know the show. One time where my people at. Team NI, where my people at.
Welcome back. I'm live, local, and vocal, broadcasting live from beautiful Cincinnati, Ohio. Currently at a secret location in Clifton. Good morning. Welcome back. This is the home for intelligent black people living in the greater Cincinnati area. It's the Nathan Ivy Show, where we talk about people, politics, and pleasure. And if you'd like to share your thoughts or enter the conversation, you can do so by dialing this number, 513-873-7134. Go ahead and lock it in. Today, I want to talk about numerous things. I want to talk about assault or fight. Was it an assault or a fight? You might remember when Trump was here in the greater Cincinnati area, he did a Trump rally down at what's called the U.S. Bank Arena. And there were numerous conversation lines, numerous narratives. But one of them that went viral was a video of a white male that jumped out of his pickup truck and opened up a can of whoop-ass on another individual. The man's name is Dallas Frazier. He's 29 years old. And he's accused of assaulting another man named Michael Alter. These are two white males. And they got into it outside the U.S. Bank Arena. And really what happened was there was a protest going on. And then Dallas Frazier drives up in his pickup. He gets out, puts his hands up, and just starts swinging on this dude. Now, Dallas Frazier is 29. The man he assaulted is 61. And remember, everybody was like, oh, man, here you are, 30 years old, beating up this older man. What's wrong with you, right? Now, would you believe that this man the trial's going on right now. Looks like he's probably going to take the witness stand sometime later this week. But I watched a little bit of the opening arguments, a little bit of what happened. Well, actually, I watched all of what happened that was broadcast. And now this man is claiming via his lawyers that it wasn't an assault. It was a fight. It was just a fight between two men that one man started. And it's all caught on video. As a matter of fact, the police officer's dash cam was still rolling. And if you remember the wise words of Donnie B, she said before that when you're dealing with police, keep your mouth closed. When you're in a police car, keep your mouth closed, because all of that evidence, the law enforcement will still have recording devices recording, and here you are running your mouth. And that's what he did. And I watched it several times this morning, and clear as day, as he's being led away by the police, he says, "You're right, man, I should have stayed in the car." But now when it comes to dealing with the consequences, like I said, in New America, nobody is responsible for what they do. It's nobody's fault. Nobody is self-responsible. Nobody is personally responsible for their own actions. It's always somebody else's fault, or it's the drugs, or it's your mama, or it was the priest, or it was some guy. I thought it was quite amazing. So his lawyer got up in front of everybody and said, this is not assault, when clearly we see the video. Like, if that's not assault, and I guess this is the world of preemptive strikes, where when you hit first, you actually were responding. That's the new America, right? Clear as day. I'm watching it right now. Clear as day. Gets out the truck, puts his hands up, and just starts swinging on this guy. This guy's like 61 years old. He eats all the punches. I'm not saying you can't fight at 61, but I could tell this dude really wasn't doing a lot of work. And these two white males got all worked up over Trump. All worked up over Trump here in the city of Cincinnati. And it went to blows. Let me watch this again just to make sure that I saw this. This is crazy. We live in a world where you can watch a video, see clearly for yourself, and then people will tell you didn't see what you actually saw. Like, I didn't see you put your hands up and hit this man 7 times. Clearly, I did. Clearly, that is what happened. I want to get to just talk about it just a little bit this morning, just in the sense that we're living in the last days of common sense. Yeah, that's what it is. Quote, Dallas Frazier knowingly caused Mike Alter physical harm. Not only was he aware that this was what was probably going to happen, that's what he specifically intended to do. Clearly, you see the man jump out the truck, run over to the protesters, put his hands up. Now, he never would have did that with a dude. I think he never would have did that with a black dude. And he never would have did that with a man who I think was like, more his age. But who knows? People get to drink, whatever. And, Trump got these fools down here fighting. And meanwhile, Trump don't give a damn about either one of y'all. And these fools down here fighting for what? Over what? Today, a new medical marijuana dispensary opens in Cincinnati. And I'm so happy that we're starting to take a more progressive attitude when it comes to marijuana. Because marijuana is not heroin. It's marijuana. Marijuana is not alcohol. It's marijuana. Alcohol is worse than marijuana. But we love alcohol. We love our beer. You love your craft beers. You love your little special craft beers. You go to your little favorite watering hole here in the city of Cincinnati. But yet, for the longest, marijuana was used, I believe, to overly incarcerate. It was used as just a precursor to mess with black and brown folks. That's all it was. Now it's legal. Legal. And there are people out there who are dealing with health issues who could be helped by the medicinal qualities of marijuana. But because of the stigmatization of so-called drugs, they haven't been able to do this. So they got to do the over-the-counter drugs, which may cost more and or could have serious side effects. Serious side effects. A new medical marijuana dispensary is opening its doors today. The dispensary is called Have a Heart Cincy. It's located on Vine Street. It's out in Hartwell. It's the 47th dispensary in Ohio. Yeah, and apparently they've been working for months to this particular point. And I think that marijuana could be used as a form of reparations for black communities all over the country. Because this is a brand new industry. It's going to be an industry that'll be around long after everyone hearing me right now is going to be dead. Long after you're dust and rotting in your coffin or whatever I'm going to be in a sarcophagus. So I'm going out like King Tut style, Pharaoh style, but do what you want to do. You can have a little coffin. You can have a sarcophagus. What sounds better? I know. You know what I'm saying? Long after we're all done in dust, people will be buying drugs. They'll be buying marijuana products and derivatives and all kinds of stuff. And there's at least one community that came up with what I thought was a great idea. And they, with intentionality, are going to use this new industry as a form of reparations and for black people that live in that particular, part of the country. And I think that's an idea that could be adopted, should be adopted throughout the country. Why not? I mean, for years and years, you had primarily black and brown folks that were getting the tickets, who were getting stopped, who was going down to court, who was paying court costs. I mean, who knows how many millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars has been stolen from the community via legal means. I say stolen because now we look back and we look at marijuana completely differently. 15 years ago, oh my God, he's got a joint on the square. Oh, you can't have no joint down here. Like it's the worst thing ever. Meanwhile, you got these cats sloppy ass drunk driving. Alcohol's far worse in all accounts. The human cost of alcohol is far worse than marijuana. I challenge anybody to find any other information, any credible source that comes to any other conclusion. Appreciate it. Hey, Jesse Bernard, appreciate you for the likes this morning. Hey, listen, this is a daily digital show. And the way it works, at least on social media, is that I would like for you to share it, like it with as many of your friends as possible. I appreciate it. Or not. I'll leave it up to you. There's a very interesting article about Pete Buttigieg that was written by The Root. It's titled Mayor Pete's Invisible Black Police. Have you read this article? You need to be. Let me go ahead and put this in the chop shop. This will be for later. You need to talk about this. Are you aware of the history? What went down? It is a very, very interesting read, and the artwork is dramatic. It's like Watchmen sort of esque dramatic. And it doesn't paint a very flattering picture of Pete Buttigieg at all. It doesn't paint it, not at all. Not at all. Written by Michael Harriot. He does great work. Speaking of Michael Harriot, how many people got a chance to check out the Cutting Through the BS podcast as we get started for 2020 last night? They went live a little bit late, about 7:30 last night, and the pod is still up. You can watch the video right now. They haven't talked about The Root last night as well. Very interesting conversation. Check it out. Please like and share. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the rise of rat monkey snakes. Yeah, you heard that phrase in a while. I'm bringing it back. The rise of rat monkey snakes. Rat monkey snakes are on the rise. I want to tell you how. But first, I want to go back to the local issue that we talked about yesterday. Now, yesterday, I spent quite a bit of time talking about how we were talking about a local story that involved a white male business owner named Evans. And he's the owner of Evans Landscaping. Apparently, you know, it's a big company here, a big deal, I guess. And Evans, the owner, was recently sentenced to, 21 months. And he was sentenced to 21 months because essentially he created a fake company so that he could get minority and small business contracts with the city and the state. And it worked. Millions and millions and millions of dollars in contracts went to Evans through Ergon. Now, the name Ergon, it wasn't lost on anyone. And even the prosecutors made this point when the judge was sentencing, that if you rearrange the letters of the name Ergon, it spells the name Negro, which is not ironic, but it was apparently like an inside joke for Mr. Evans, Doug Evans. He thought it was funny. Now, what's the irony of this? Well, he names the company, Negro, and he changes the letters to be Ergon. It's like an inside joke because he was stealing from Negroes, essentially, and defrauding the city and perhaps the state as well. And he got caught. And Mr. Evans had no contrition whatsoever. He didn't apologize. He didn't admit any guilt. He remained defiant to the very end. And I was just struck by the types of people that came to his defense. I wasn't in the courtroom, but it was well reported that they did his supporters and friends did a 90-minute video, and you had religious leaders. I mean, what kind of religious leader is out here publicly supporting a lying, cheating bastard? I don't get it. But it is what it is. I guess it's a different type of religious leader. Who's doing this? I understand friends and all that kind of stuff, man, but homie, you did that. You did that. You got to pay the price. You got to pay the crime. You do the crime, you got to do the time, right? The federal prosecutors, they wanted Mr. Evans to get 60 plus months, including some other things, including like barring Evans Landscaping from being able to get any public contracts for a length of 3 years, which I thought was fair. I think that's pretty fair. I mean, if you're swindling the public, if you're stealing public money through fraudulent means, then you should not be able to enrich yourself off of that. I guess the judge, he was swayed by the 90-minute video of all the, various leaders and members of the community. And from what I understand, there were like people that work for Mr. Evans who were there like, man, he feeds so many families. He does all these charities. Well, he's such a nice guy. Then why was he lying, cheating, and defrauding the city, the state, and these small business owners and minority business owners? I think it's the G word. Greed. That's it. Just straight up greed. Narcissism. My circumstances is more important than anybody else's. What was interesting is I received an email, and I see she's put on our Facebook page as well, that Tamaya Denard, who's a black female member of city council, she has a proposal that if you are someone who, and again, the circumstances seem to be very similar to what Evans is dealing with. Like if you're someone who's been convicted of essentially doing what Doug Evans did, then you can't get no contracts with the city. And we talked about this yesterday. I think that's exactly what should happen. Why should Doug Evans be allowed to continue to get public contracts? Why should he be allowed to get city contracts? Why? I mean, I can't think of any reason. I can't think of any reason. And if that affects his business, so what? And what about all the businesses that were potentially affected by his fraudulent criminal enterprise, his criminal conspiracy? So you out here, you can do criminal conspiracies, don't apologize, you didn't do it, you have no remorse whatsoever, and then you can come back and get contracts with the city? That don't make any sense whatsoever. And I'm glad to see I'm not the only person in Cincinnati that feels that way. I'm glad to see that we have leadership on city council that's paying attention to what's going on and understands right from wrong, because that makes no sense whatsoever. In what world can you do that? I mean, in what world? She posted it 17 hours ago, and I think I shared it on my page as well. Here's what she wrote. This is a member of City Council, Tamaya Denard. In light of recent events, it's important that we be resolved in our commitment to ensure economic opportunities and inclusion for all citizens who want to do business with the city of Cincinnati. Misrepresentation in order to do business with the city won't be rewarded with more contracts. It's imperative that minority and women-owned organizations are able to fairly secure contracts as we work to bridge wealth and economic divides in our city. Boom. She's absolutely right. She's absolutely right. This is the kind of response that you want from a member of city council. This is a real situation that just happened. I'll say it again. How can you basically lead a criminal conspiracy to defraud the city, to defraud minority-owned businesses, small-owned businesses, and then you get to come back and make money with them? No. How's that right? How's that right? And, I'm just glad to hear and to see that we got members of city council that are in tune to what's going on. They're in tune to what's happening in real time. They're not going to put their heads in the sand and act like they don't see it. Yeah, it's crazy. And so now we'll get a chance to see how this gets played out on city council. That'll be interesting now. I mean, will all the members support this? To me, it seems like a no-brainer. I don't care if you black. I don't care if you white. I don't care if you're Martian. I don't care if you're from Mars. It makes no difference to me whatsoever. You out here defrauding people, going to jail. You're the head of a criminal enterprise, but then the city's supposed to keep trusting you. How do we know they won't do it again? How do we know they won't start another Ergon 2, Negroes 2? And then the fact that they named it Ergon, which, is, if you change the spelling, can spell the word Negro, tells you about the level, the mentality of Mr. Evans. I don't know Mr. Evans, but I'm just reading between the lines. I mean, hey, I'm working with the information that's available to me. That's it. What do you think about this? Listen, I'm going to post a link here So you can check it out for yourself inside the Chop Shop. But what do you think about this? Let me see here. No person, company, vendor, bidder, contractor, subcontractor, or contract or bid or principal or owner of a company, vendor, bidder, contractor, or subcontractor, or a contract or bid that defaults on any bid, proposal, or contract with the city of Cincinnati shall be permitted to submit a bid or proposal for any business or participate on any contract in any capacity with the city of Cincinnati until the amount of the damages accruing to the city by reason of such default shall have been fully paid. I don't know. I mean, it sounds like good government to me, but what do you think? 513-873-7134. Makes just perfect sense to me. I think you blew your deal, homie. That's what I would say to the Evans land. You blew your deal. You know, that's like any other criminal conspiracy. What's the difference? But I know people will be more upset over the black kids so they rioted at Northgate Mall. Oh, what's wrong with us? My work is just beginning. 513-873-7134. My work is just beginning. We're just getting started this morning. This is your daily catharsis. We need this. This will be good for us. But thank you for being here. Again, you got the number. You can also join the Chop Shop this morning. It's a motley crew of very intelligent black people who have a myriad of opinions on all issues. And you're more than welcome to jump. To do so, just go to my Spreaker page. Go to nathanivey.com. At the very top, you're going to see a media player. Just click on today's title, and it'll take you to the Chop Shop, a.k.a. Cyber Wakanda. Good morning to you. Let me see here. Okay, that's nice. Nice to see that. It's great. Great to see good things happening in the city. Yeah. Oh, man, that's great. I see somebody posted that Jeff Pastor is doing a free all-women CCW course. That is great. That is great. That's great. The only thing I will say is that you get what you pay for. And there's a lot of ways to do CCW training. Personally, I'm just speaking for myself. I can't speak for anybody else. I like that personal touch. I like to have a little time with the instructor as much as possible. They get to know me, get to know how I'm dealing with it. Am I holding a weapon right? Do I have questions? Things like that. You know, I think you need more time on the range is better than less time on the range. And that's all I'll say. That's all I'll say. Good morning to you. I agree. I agree with that. Yeah, good morning to you. I am aware internationally that yesterday our president had a big press conference. In that press conference, essentially, the president decided that he was not going to retaliate against Iran that fired several missiles at United States assets in Iraq. And the president decided he was going to stand down and to this point not escalate what he started, right? And I guess that's great for the world. So your man is standing down just a little bit, not completely, just a little bit. And what do you think? 513-873-7134. Let's go straight to the chopper, shall we? Cassandra writes, hey, choppers, good morning. Clue Magic's in the house. He writes, good morning, Nate and the choppers. Good to see you again, Clue. Tracy writes, hi. Ray writes, grand risings all. Good morning, everybody. Brenda writes, happy Thursday. Damn, it's Thursday already? What happened? Kelly writes, good morning. Clue Magic writes, I remember that he swung on that old man. He did. Now he's in court saying it was a fight between two guys. No. No. But doesn't a fight begin with somebody taking the first punch? That's usually how a fight begins. But that was not a fight. Basically, this dude got out the car and started rocking this dude. He almost damn near knocked him out. Got out the car, broad daylight. Police was just 10 feet away. and just open up a can of whoop ass on this older dude. He was dead wrong for that. I thought it was an act of cowardice, quite honestly. He never would have did that with a black man. I'm sorry. He never would have got out and approached a brother like that. Especially not a brother who looked like he can handle himself. So he jumps out the pickup truck. Jumping out the truck. That's always like nothing can end good if it starts like this. Jumping out a pickup truck triggered at a Trump rally in Cincinnati. If the story starts like that, it always ends badly. Triggered in a pickup truck at a Trump rally in Cincinnati. I say that 10 times fast. Don't let Trump trigger you, man. Trump triggered him straight into what it looks like he might get like 180 days in jail. And he deserves it. He deserves to be down at the Hamilton County Justice Center eating bologna sandwiches, because that's what they have for you. Old ass bologna sandwiches all day long. Down there listening to young boys talk dumb shit for 180 days. That's what he deserves. You can't just do that. You imagine me jumping out of a whip, swinging on somebody and saying, it was a fight. It was a fight. Yeah, it started on Facebook. It started on Facebook. So no, this was assault. If I was in a jury, I would be pissed that you wasted my time. I saw this the first time, dude. I know what you did. Brian writes morning. Good morning to you, Brian. CJ writes, he writes, good morning, everyone. Good morning, CJ. Mason Marler writes morning in the choppers. Hashtag MWMD 2.0. You ain't got to lie, Craig. Tony writes good morning. Jesse writes lock his ass up. Right, lock his ass up. Triggered at a Trump rally and you jumping out of a pickup truck, man. Come on, B. See, Terrence is in the house. He writes, good morning, Nate in the choppers. Hey, good to see you, brother Terrence. Drops in the house. He writes, good morning, choppers and Mr. Ivy. Don't get me started. Oh, we don't want to do that. Tony writes, like you said, only reason he came to blows was because it was an old man and not a brother. It's part of the Trump effect, right? You're going to jump out the car and beat up a 60-year-old man and you 30. Come on, bro. You don't get no props for that. Where'd they give you props for something like that? I'm not here. Karamia writes, good morning, everyone. Shine bright like a diamond. That's a Rihanna song, isn't it? But still, I'll take it. Tanika writes, good morning, Nate and the choppers. Good morning to you. Erica's in the house. She writes, good morning, all. Sister Iris is in the house. She writes, good morning, great people. She writes, congratulations to Reverend Lynch and his team. Soft opening today, full opening tomorrow. Yeah. And Reverend Lynch was nice enough last year to give us some time. He came into the studio and just broke down the whole scenario. Pardon me on that. He broke the whole thing down as to, just the evolution of the idea. And then some people criticize him like, how you going to be a preacher and you selling drugs? What? It didn't make any sense. But I asked him and I thought his answer was so spot on. Essentially, if I can conjure up and remember what he said and paraphrasing it kind of loosely, essentially Reverend Lynch, when I asked him like, well, is that a contradiction or do people criticize you for selling marijuana and being a part of it? He's like, man, listen, I got people in my congregation that's taking over-the-counter medication and been doing it for years. It's got all kind of devastating side effects on their body. That's part of his ministry, he said. And I agree completely. I don't see no contradiction whatsoever. None. He was absolutely right. And then I just like the idea of this whole collectively working together and building something with the members of your church, of your community. I just thought all the way around it was just fantastic. I wish them the best. But some haters out here going to be hating. Why the preacher man out here selling that weed? I'm just dumbfounded by anyone who would have that kind of thought process, quite honestly. But that's how we are. We're always more critical on ourselves than anybody else. Maybe it should be that way. Or maybe not. Maybe not. Blue Magic writes, exactly, Tony. He wouldn't have jumped out on a brother or a younger white dude for that matter. Did you see his approach? He hasn't had many fights. It's probably a church mouse around his peers. I'm sure he is feeling dumb, like I swung on an old man, couldn't knock him down nor sleep him. It went viral. He is known as a weak dude nationally. Yeah, that was a weak move. Number one, why are you out here frightened for Trump? There was no words. I mean, it's a political thing, man. Just yell and scream like everybody else and keep your ass moving. But no, you want to put your dukes up with a 61-year-old man like you a tough guy. Yeah, real tough. Now you down here crying in the Hamilton County court talking about it was a fight. Mike Jones writes, good morning, choppers. Mike Davis writes, rise and shine, young stars. Angela writes, salutations. Cassandra writes, the same religious leaders who prey on people's faith to line their pockets. Uh-oh. 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 Well, you already know I got my problems with the church and the whole religious thing. But at the end of the day, you know, believing in something other than money, hoes, and clothes, all the nigga knows is cool with me. There's some folks out here, all they care about is material things. Completely self-centered. So to believe in something larger, deeper, spiritual, I'm cool with it. If that's what it takes to make you a good human being so you can live your best life, go right ahead. Clumazic writes, Amy ain't going for Tamaya's proposal. She would need to see more information or have a study conducted, right? I need to see more information. Yeah, so yesterday we spent quite a bit of time talking about the fact that Doug Evans was sentenced to 21 months in prison. 3 months of that was basically, you know, stayed, or whatever the proper term is, delayed, so he can appeal and get his affairs in order. And just kind of going through the details of what happened, you know, I'm very happy to see that at least there's a one person on city council who is paying attention to what's going on and has put this proposal together. And I think it makes perfect sense. I mean, I think if you've been found to have, and this man's going to jail for his criminal conspiracy. I mean, Doug Evans, the judge purposely gave him jail time. The judge says he's going to jail. That's what the judge wants, right? For this white collar crime. But I don't think that there has been enough of an investigation in local media to give any kind of a serious, you know, viewpoint on why this is so bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all know it's a crime and whoever came in second basically was defrauded. We get that. But what is the effect of that? Personally, as we try to analyze why there are such huge wealth disparities, there's a multitude of reasons. And this kind of fraudulent criminal conspiracy, I believe, is a part of it. And just like Doug Evans is out here, how many other Doug Evans landscapes are out here doing the same things right now? I don't know. Maybe none. Maybe a lot. Maybe this story will shed more light on it. Maybe. But from what I understand from Tamaya's proposal, I support it. I support it. Because something has to be done. You know, and if nothing's done, it's kind of like, this ain't that bad. It's no big deal. So glad to see it. And you're right. I'm sure that Amy Murray will object to it. And she'll probably have to see more information, or I don't know. But again, we say that, but we never know how this goes. You know, we might be surprised. Mason Muller writes, right, Clue, right after they study McMicken. Mike Jones writes, Amy Murray is a part of the problem. # white supremacy. Well, she's not going to be on city council much longer. She got less than a year. She got less than 2 years. And then she'll be gone on to whatever's next for Amy Murray. I don't know. Who voted for Amy Murray? Did you? Not me. Iris writes, CM Denard, Councilmember Denard is working for the people, not just people who donate to her campaigns. I love the title of motion, misrepresentation. Well, you out, black woman? Hold on one second. Yeah, can I get a little hug? Oh, look at that. Oh, thanks. I married you? How long we been married? Okay. Yeah. All right, black woman, I love you. That's the black woman leaving right now. Man, I got to get that in. You know what I'm talking about. All you married men, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, misrepresentation. I mean, because Tamaya Denard is a very smart woman. We already know that. And she understands what she needs to do to try to, to put something in place to prevent these scoundrels. Because let's be honest with you. I mean, Doug Evans is a scoundrel. What he did was scandalous. Like I said, local media went on and on and on about Tracy Hunter. Local media can pick what they want to focus on. They go on. Well, I want to go on and on about this. And maybe it might open some other people's eyes as to just how much of a problem this potentially can be. I'm just saying, if this was a brother, could you imagine if Doug Evans was a brother doing this? Do you think he would have got more time? I don't know. It depends on who he is, or who he was, who this brother, do you have connections? I don't know. Something to think about, something that we think about. I don't know. Tracy writes, the focus as it relates to Evans should also be shared with the city for not vetting his company. This all could have been avoided. Who interviewed and inspected the business? Who called references? Well, yesterday I came across an article that goes back many years. And apparently back in 2015, the city red flagged something that was going on with Doug Evans. Like the numbers just didn't look good, looked suspicious. Other than that, I do not know. Well, maybe this case will put the city on blast, put them on notice, and they'll be more sensitive and be more diligent about their jobs. You know what I'm saying? To me, I don't think this can be understated. That's what I'm saying. This Doug Evans thing is not a small story. It's one of the biggest stories in a long time in terms of the impact of the stuff that we keep talking about. Because we keep talking about what's happening with black folks, right? And African Americans. We keep talking about the wealth disparities. This is a part of it. This is another grand example of it. It's another grand example of it. There's a lot of wealth in this city. A lot of money in this region. A lot. Millions and millions and hundreds of millions and millions and millions of dollars. Why is it trickling so slow to our neighborhoods and all of the different families? See, maybe now I have some contracts for my starter company. It's called... What? You are funny. KRERCCA. I get it. See, you can't do that, Tony. You can't do that, man. They gonna catch you real quick. Like, oh, okay. You try and be slick over here with the name of your company. Don't do that. You're gonna get caught. Mason Marler writes, yeah, go for it. The worst briefing I've seen, at least on the military issue, in my 9 years in the Senate, said the Utah Republican. Lee fumed that the officials warned against even debating legislation to restrict President Donald Trump's authority to strike Iran, blasting their comments as un-American and unconstitutional, and not to mention way too short. I did see that. I did see Utah Republican Senator, is it Mike Lee or whatever his name is? Is it Mike Lee? I did see 2 interviews. He was very upset. He said that he had a briefing. So what happens is there were some members of Congress, senators, including Republican senators, that met with, the Trump administration. Trump wasn't there, but the Secretary of Defense was there. The Secretary of State was there, and some other people from the intelligence organizations and agencies, under the Trump administration. And he walked out and said essentially that they didn't tell him anything. He was trying to ask them like, so what's your evidence? What evidence? What was the facts that you had that led to you killing Soleimani? And this guy's a Republican. He said they got stonewalled. Essentially, they told him, look, this is what we did. This is what we gonna do. You can ride or die. Which is it? So he went to the media. Within the last 24 hours. So what's the point of all of this? Well, the point of all this is, Trump ordered a strike to kill Soleimani using a Predator-class drone. The drone's like 1,100 pounds. It's like the size of a small elephant. And it can carry up to 2 500-pound bombs and/or an assortment of other military, weapons. All controlled remote control, Bluetooth control, whatever the hell they use, from thousands of miles away by, some U.S. Air Force military service man or woman who's basically playing a video game. And members of Congress, including Republican members, want to know what the facts are. Like, why'd you kill him now? And the Trump administration is like, oh, he was trying to plot to kill Americans. Well, his replacement is trying to plot to kill Americans. So what have you really done? Again, I think it's racist, this idea that we can go to some other country thousands of miles away, kill one person, and cripple the whole thing. Our government don't work that way. So why we think that some other government, this is racist? Oh, we kill their leader. They can't think. They got one brain between all of them, and he had it. So when we killed him, we killed Iran's brain. I mean, you got to be ignorant to believe that. You got to be, it just logically doesn't make any sense. It's like, well, he had all the plans in his head, so I guess the threat is over. The world doesn't work that way. Where in the world does it work that way? We killed one man, we killed Soleimani, and again, by all accounts, he looks like he was on the list for good reasons, if you believe in that kind of thing. Okay. But I think timing is everything. There's a time to kill. Is that the name of a book? There's a time to kill. There's a time for diplomacy. There's a time for everything. And you got members of Congress, Democrats and Republicans, who are asking questions as to whether this was the right time to kill Soleimani. Republicans are loving it. Like, oh, he kills people. He's tough. That means he's a real president. He's not afraid to make the tough decisions. How's that a tough decision when your ass is not in the sling? Or maybe it is a tough decision. Jerica writes, hola, beautiful black people, and the others too. How you been doing, Jerica? How is everything? Still married? What's this, year 2? That's great to hear. That is great to hear. I got you. I just got an anonymous message. I got you. Well, again, to me, I think that was a great sign. This story has been brewing for some time here locally. We got the conclusions over the weekend, last couple of days, and within a week, you've got at least one member of city council that's responding to it. Isn't that why you want people on city council? To respond to important issues in real time, not yabba dabba do and all this kind of stuff. Just make it happen, or at least attempt to. So we shall see. I think did I post a link for you inside the Chop Shop? If not, let me do it again for you. So I want to make sure if you want to read her proposal and get an understanding for yourself, that you've got the knowledge to do so. And it's also on my Facebook page as well. I think I retweeted it. Dorothy writes, what Evans Landscaping did is unacceptable. They should never get a city, state, or federal contract ever again. I'm appalled. Dorothy, I agree. Now, I don't know what the precedence is, because if there's a precedence of other companies that have been in a similar situation, and then for a short period of time, they weren't allowed to work with the city or get public contracts, I'll put it that way. Well, then they've got to follow that. You know what I'm saying? I get it. Like, if there's already a precedence that if in a situation like this, that, what's in order is that you get set aside, for 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, no public contracts, then you can come back and apply again. Well, then that's what they have to do. If there is no precedence, then we can set a precedence. And even that wouldn't be fair. I mean, because you can't put the genie back into the bottle. You can't repair the damage that's already been done to those small and minority businesses. Now, perhaps it was no big deal. Maybe these businesses found business otherwhere or got some other contract or successfully won a bid for another job. Maybe so. But again, that's the untold story on all of this. We just don't know. Let's see here. Somebody says 10:40 had time. Maya writes, so we supposed to just forgive these dickhead kids? By the way, good morning. Hashtag alt middle is for the children. You will ruin the children if you condone promoting a complete mall rumpus on social media. No, we won't. No, we won't. And yeah, I'm going to completely forgive the kids. I am. Yeah. Yeah. Well, because number one, we're talking about children, 14, 15 years old. My daughter's 14. I know the mentality of a 14. Believe me, they're kids. My daughter's smart. She's becoming more responsible. She is very responsible. And she is a critical thinker. All right. Because she's my daughter. She grew up with me. And that's great. But she's still a kid with an underdeveloped brain. So Meyer, you say you're for the children, but so much of what you actually say is anti-black child. Like you've never seen a black child that you didn't want to incarcerate. Every time, again, that's what mainstream media does. It overreacts when black people do things. This ain't mainstream media. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to overreact every time a black kid does something. Now, I'm going to keep it real with you, though. And right is right and wrong is wrong, but we already got places for overreactions when it comes to the actions of non-white people. So I'll let them do that. For me, I want to dig a little deeper to it. Nobody got robbed. Nobody was injured. The only people that got injured were perhaps the teenagers when they were being arrested. And that's it. I mean, that's it. The story of the kids at the mall, the teens at the mall, is really a story about their parents. Their parents should have had a better understanding of where they were letting their teenagers go, where their teenagers were going, and who they were with and what they were trying to do. You're just so wrong about this, man. Again, nobody got robbed. Nobody got injured. There was no damage was done, but everybody wants to say there was a riot. It was a bunch of bored kids looking to do something. They wanted to get lit, you know the rest, and that's it. That's it. Let's not try to make this into some grand criminal, offense. That's not what happened. Nobody got sucker punched. You had a bunch of black teenagers that responded to an online flyer. They went to the mall. There was no control whatsoever. And, that's what happened. That's what happened. Now, did I miss something, Meyer? Did I miss something? Did somebody get assaulted? Did somebody get hit? No, none of that happened. I just want to remind people of that. So a bunch of black kids show up and all of a sudden it's aggressive. They were being aggressive. Who were they being aggressive with? Each other. So, okay. This city, man, knee-jerk reaction city, man. Oh, lordy, what we gonna do? They're all coming into the mall during the holiday season with money in their pockets. What are we gonna do? Call the police. People go to the mall to spend money. These malls they should be lucky the kids are at the mall. Because by all accounts, malls are dying around the country due to Amazon and online shopping. They should be happy somebody wants to go to Northgate Mall. I haven't even been to Northgate Mall in years. I don't go to the mall. So that's that. So, you can bar the kids out if you want to, but, somebody's got to pay the bills. 513-873-7134. Drop writes, GOP social media winning. Tracy writes, his class is $25. Really, it says free. But $25 is pretty cheap. I think listen, I'm all about it. I think that black people should be exercising their Second Amendment rights. I think that black people should be arming yourself with knowledge and the weapons you might need, because there's people out there that might want to do whatever to you and your family. We're living in the last days of common sense. And when an emergency situation happens, nobody's going to come to your rescue. It's going to be you and you alone that saves you. So I'm all with that. I'm all with it. I wish them the best. Karamia writes, Nathan, is it too late for 45th POTUS not to go to war? Iran and Iraq are pissed off. Well, Trump seemed to... Okay, so Trump killed Soleimani. Everybody's waiting for a response. Iran had to respond, or yes, they would lose face internally, internationally. So they respond by shooting missiles at a base. As I understand it, there was an evacuation system. Everyone was evacuated. Nobody was killed. Then everybody was like, what's the U.S. is going to do? What are they going to respond? Trump had a press conference yesterday. Essentially, there's not going to be a response other than economic sanctions. So there'll be no military response, but more economic sanctions, which is part of the untold story. Iran is under pressure right now, being led by U.S. coalition to depress their economics, basically leveraging the power of money to try to stop them from building nuclear weapons. That's, Iran's not imposing an embargo or economic sanctions on us. We're doing that to them. Just so people understand that. And I understand why we're doing it. But I just feel like most Americans just don't have a good working knowledge of what's really going on in the Middle East. I feel like most Americans, black and white, have been misled, misdirected, and really miseducated about the history of the U.S. involvement in the Middle East, which I'm not going to get into right now, and just, our role in what's been going on. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a lot of miseducation. And then what happens is they tell us, he's a bad guy. He's targeting American troops. And maybe he is, maybe he isn't, but people just kind of go with the information because they don't have no other information. They just kind of go with it. Oh, boy, I must have said something wrong. I must have said something wrong because we got Drop on the line now. Hey, Drop, good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Ivy, and all the beautiful people in the Chop Shop, even Mason Marler, the Chop Shop overseer. Mr. Ivy, thank you for confirming everything I said in my call yesterday, which launched some of the crazy folks in the Chop Shop who wanted to exile me from your show, Mr. Ivy.
Oh, really?
Now again, sir.
Really? I missed
everything
that.
I say. Oh, yeah. It was there. I know you saw it, Mr. Ivy. But anyway, that's why I mess with your show, because you are one of the leading raconteurs in the podcast business. You have a gift of telling stories for 2-3 hours. A caller for 5-10 minutes ain't got nothing on you, Mr. Ivy. So people out there that think they can do what you do because they can get on the phone and talk to you for 5 minutes, they are strongly and rudely mistaken. But, Mr. Ivy, as I clear my throat, I don't call the next day to get you to agree with me. I just call in for you to confirm that what I said was accurate. Now, Mr. Ivy, I am not a political pundit. I am not a political scholar. I am just a brother man that retired from the post office 2.5 years ago who know how to talk crap, because I've been doing it and hearing it for a long time. So again, Mr. Ivy, yesterday at the president's, I guess you can call that a update to the American people and to rest their fears of America going to war, because our mainstream media, again, like I said yesterday, were basically an arm of the propaganda regime of Iran. But
that's
yesterday it was, oh yeah, right. You know it's not a stretch. You know it's the truth, Mr. Ivy, because yesterday, even after the president said and explained almost everything I said, I'd be loving it, Mr. Ivy. He said almost everything I said. How Iran did not intend to harm Americans or Iraqis. How Iran strategically placed those guided missiles. How Iran called and warned the Iraqis, because half of Iraq is Iranian Shiites or Sunni. I always get them mixed up, but they all Middle Eastern. So again, Mr. Ivy, everything was confirmed yesterday when the president gave his update to the American people. Everything was confirmed after they gave the classified briefing to the members of the House and members of the Senate. Now, again, we know this country is divided. We know it's Republicans against Democrats. So the only thing that was really substantial out of the briefings was Mike Lee from Utah. But Rand Paul has always been against the freedom of presidents to just go around and use the military to take out certain individuals. But again, yesterday, it was confirmed that this guy, Soleimani, was a terrorist, he was designated by the Obama administration as a terrorist. So that was no longer a discussion. And the desperate Democrats continued to put out the fake news that Donald Trump wants to go to war. The man does not want to go to war. So all he did yesterday, Mr. Ivy, he imposed more severe sanctions on Iran, and hopefully they will have listened to his words and come to the table and negotiate. So again, Mr. Ivey, I do this on a number of times since I've been on your show. We have people like Mason Mahler who feels obligated to explain to the people in the chop shop. The people in the chop shop know how to pick up a cell phone, know how to pick up a tablet, know how to type on a keyboard just like I do. And you always say it in your show. Your listeners and people who follow your show are highly intelligent. And that's why I always say, Mr. Ivey, trust but verify. I don't need to argue with anybody about me being truthful or not.
Well, there might be maybe some fact checking is in order. So you said that the man who ordered the strike confirmed what you said yesterday.
The man, which is the president of the United States, is that the man you're talking about?
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, that's interesting. So basically, you're using his rhetoric to justify your rhetoric, but your rhetoric was informed by his rhetoric. So who's fact checking this?
I don't care how you explain it, Mr. Ivey, but we are the company we keep. Okay,
do you ever go
if you get your
to any objective like sites, or do you always go to the like conservative leaning sites?
Mr. Ivey, I know you follow my Twitter feed from time to time. I know better than to go to some obscure place that has no credibility and post it. No, I don't do that. When I have a story like today, which if you allow me, I'll get into in a minute, but like today, there are a number of stories that are breaking news stories related to the Trump administration and the safety of the American people and the economic freedom of the American people. But those stories are not at the top of the news feed where you see New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, AP, Reuters. A lot of times you got certain stories, the obscure sites are the lead because they're the only ones reporting it, because the mainstream media, who are willing accomplice of the media, you have to dig and find their story related. I mean, their news articles related to the story. So this morning reported China's head economic guy is flying to America to sign the China trade deal with the United States and President Trump. 2, a judge just cleared the way for President Trump to secure the southern border with the border wall money that he used from the Department of Defense. Now, again, Mr. Ivey, do I need to go further about how I consume my media?
No, it was just a quick question I have for you, because it sounds like you always go to like sites that have a partisan viewpoint. And I was just going to share
I go to all
you.
sites, Mr. Ivey.
Yeah,
all sites are partisan.
No, all sites are not partisan. That's not true.
Oh, okay. What did CNN just do with Mr. Sandman from Covington Catholic High School? What did they just do, Mr. Ivey?
I don't know. What did they do?
They settled a defamation lawsuit.
Okay.
What is Washington Post and Gannett News Company? They're going to settle with the Sandman family, just like CNN did. Because what they did to that minor, the kid, okay, that's the point.
What did they do to
what
him?
the news media did to that kid and his family.
I don't remember what they did to him. What did they do to him?
I'm not getting into it. I'm not getting into it.
So you don't know either.
My point is,
I wouldn't count CNN as a nonpartisan source, though. I wasn't thinking about CNN. I was talking about some of the public radio and public media sites that are nonpartisan.
Oh, you talking about like NPR?
I'm talking about like NPR.
Like Mediaite?
I'm talking about
Mediaite.
Mediaite is not nonpartisan. They're very partisan. They're privately owned. I'm talking about PBS, NPR. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Those are public broadcasting companies, right? Who are on the air because of donations and grants from the government, correct?
Oh, that seems to be true, yeah.
No, it ain't seems. See, Mr. Ivey, you're losing credibility when you come on here and you use that intellectual laziness, which is not who you are.
Well, there's nothing lazy about being specific to what you know. You asked me a question.
PBS.
You asked me a question,
and NPR,
and I answered the question to the best of my knowledge. I don't know what you're saying
Okay.
is a fact or not, but to my knowledge, I believe so. Yeah.
Mr. Ivy, the reason I question your intellectual prowess when it comes to having a conversation with me is because I've heard you say these things in the past, Mr. Ivy. You talk about Tavis Smiley not all the time, but you talk about him quite a bit. And the man is on PBS. So you know how PBS operates. You know how NPR operates. NPR.
I don't understand you. Number one, Tavis doesn't work for public radio or public broadcasting. Hasn't for a long time. And
his shows appear there all the time.
They used to appear there all the time, but you may not know.
He's not on now, Nate.
Yeah, that's what I said. He's not on now, right? So what's your point? You said that Tavis is on all the time.
My point is, which you brought up about where I consume my news from and my media. My point is that all media is slanted one way or the other. It's because of how they get their revenue, Mr. Ivy. We know that. You're not going to take money from certain people because it would affect your show and possibly your beliefs in certain things. You're just not going to take money from them. But you'll take money from people that support you and what you stand for. So those are going to be the majority of your listeners and audience. So again, Mr. Ivy, I appreciate you giving me the time to come on here and especially follow up on something that I was accused of doing yesterday, which was lying. I wasn't lying.
Well, I don't know if you were lying or you just didn't have enough information. I forget what you were saying yesterday, but it was completely wrong. I remember that. I just can't remember what we were talking about in specific.
Yeah, but see, you never, well, I won't say, I got to stop using the word never, but you rarely call me a liar while I'm talking to you. But what you do after my call is over, that's part of your show. And I understand what you do as a talk show host. I get it. But the choppers, which is few now, it used to be quite a bit, but it's only a few, one, who feels that they have to counter anything that I say as if he's trying to speak to somebody that doesn't know how to listen. Okay, everything I say, Mr. Ivy, I always follow it up with trust but verify. Don't call me a liar.
I remember you were wrong. Yeah. Your chronological order of what happened with the whole Iran thing and then the overall effect of why Donald Trump decided to kill Soleimani. You had your facts completely wrong yesterday. So, I mean, I'll stop short of saying you were lying.
Context is important, Mr. Ivy.
Facts are important.
If something is out of context, Mr. Ivy, if something is out of context, it is not a lie. You know that. You are part of the media.
Okay, so now it's time to come back to me. So yesterday what happened was we were having a conversation, and I told you that the Iran most recently completely pulled away from the table with the deal with the United States after the death of Soleimani. And you would swear up and down, oh, no, it happened weeks ago. And then I shared a link of when there was a report. It just happened after Soleimani. That's what you were wrong about. I remember now.
Okay. No, but Mr. Ivy,
you were wrong or you were lying?
No, I wasn't lying and I wasn't wrong because the Iran deal, okay, was done before Trump took office. Okay. Soon as it was part of his campaign to get us out of the bad Iranian deal, because even Congress didn't agree with the deal.
That's not true.
But we're not even getting.
That's not true.
We're not going to get into that.
That's not true.
Okay, we're not going to get into that.
That's either a lie point is, Mr. Ivy, you just don't know the facts, but that's not true.
Oh, okay, all right. See again, like I said, Mr. Ivy, almost everything I said was confirmed yesterday, either through the president, through the intelligence people, through the Secretary of State, and even some media outlets who finally had to admit that America was pulled from the brink of war by Donald Trump. He's done it again, Mr. Ivy.
Well,
and before I hang up,
you should not get props for putting the country and the world on the brink of war and then deciding to take us away from it. You don't get props for that. Sorry.
Well, again, your definition of war is different from my definition of war. A targeted strategic strike on a terrorist leader who worked for the Iranian government, if you want to call it a government, was taken out. He was on the terrorist list, Mr. Ivy.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. What do you mean, yeah?
I mean, what's your point?
Isn't that a good thing that this man is no longer walking and breathing?
Not necessarily, no.
Considering the things that he did between the time when the Iran deal was signed, which he is mentioned in the Iran deal by Barack Obama.
Again,
okay.
I asked you the same question you struggled with yesterday. What's
I'm not
the
struggling,
point?
brother.
What's the point of all of this? What was gained?
My point is,
what was gained by this
okay.
country by killing this man, this General Soleimani?
Okay,
what did we gain?
Did you hear what the Iranians said after they launched that bogus ass missile attack? They said, "Oh, okay, we're done. We sent our message. We don't want to do anything else. So please, America, please, Mr. President, don't blow up our country. We're sorry. We're not going to do anything else. But if you come at us, we're going to get you." Mr. Ivy, we are talking about the biggest and the baddest military on this planet who have no handcuffs on them like they had in the previous administration.
You still didn't answer my question,
sir. The handcuffs are off, Mr.
You didn't answer
Ivy.
my question,
and
sir.
When our
what did we
military
gain
is
by
unleashed,
killing this man? What did we gain?
Oh, Mr. Ivy, I mean, come on. What did you gain by buying food yesterday? You ate. America gained less worry about a general who strikes America and American troops and American personnel and American citizens. That is what we have gained. There is no number two guy, Mr. Ivy. Believe me, in a regime like
That's not true.
there is no such thing as a number two guy.
There's already been his replacement. It's already taken over. What are you talking about? There is no number two.
What's his name? What's his name, Nate?
Well, I don't have his name in front of me, but give me a second.
Exactly.
I'll Google it.
That's my point.
That's your point. Okay.
That's my point. You don't know his name.
Yeah, that's my point. I don't know his name. Okay. Anything else?
So how much power does he have? None.
Well,
okay,
I didn't know
Mr.
Soleimani's name until he became, a national, international, thing after he was killed by Trump. So,
and what did you find out once you learned who he was?
I found that
were you happy that he was dead, or were you sad that he was dead?
I found out from the collective sum total of nonpartisan, media outlets that it was a freaking mistake.
Right.
That's what I found out.
No. Who was the man, Mr. Ivy? If you didn't know about him and you found out from the mainstream media or a credible news source, what did you find out?
I just told you what I found out.
Was he a good guy? Was he a credit to his race? I mean, what was it?
I'm sure he was a credit.
He was a freaking terrorist.
I found that. Well, since you really want to go here, here's what I found out. I found out that despite the way
you're gonna read some propaganda now, right?
No, I'm just gonna tell you what I learned. I found out that since you want to challenge me, I'll tell you. I found out that despite the way that the United States looks at Soleimani, within Iran and Iraq, he was a revered figure. That's what I found out.
Okay, a revered figure in a tyrannical regime.
I don't think you really know enough about Iran to say it's tyrannical.
Across the Middle East.
I don't really think you know enough about Iran to say it's tyrannical. In fact, I think there's a lot of
deficit
of knowledge about Iran that you're displaying right now.
I am not, Mr. Ivy.
It's very interesting.
I am not Malcolm Nance. Okay, I am not Jason Johnson.
You're right, because Malcolm Nance actually knows what he's talking about.
I'm not those guys. Okay, so don't put me in their category.
I was not. Why would I do that? You're not in their category because they know what they're talking about, and you obviously do not. There is a deficit of knowledge that you're working on, and I can tell right here because you confirm what you said by using what Donald Trump said. But Donald Trump's a known liar.
No. I said it before he said it.
No, this morning you said that everything that you were.
Yes, I did, Mr. Ivy.
Okay, but this morning you also said. You also said this morning,
and then play Donald Trump's. I said the same thing before he said it.
Yeah, because you heard him say it before.
Right? Mr. Ivy, okay, I'm getting off the phone, but before I go, I hope you mention the border wall that's going to be built, which I told you about last summer. I hope you mention the China deal that's getting ready to be signed that I told you about, how the tariffs were going to work, because Donald Trump knows how to negotiate. So again, Mr. Ivey, I appreciate your show, my brother. I love it because you give somebody like me the opportunity to make people like you distrust, but you verify. How many times in this call did I push you to verify something? That's my only goal, Mr. Ivey, is to get black people and other people to verify things that they hear. Just don't believe it or trust it because it comes from somebody that looks like you or somebody that's on your team. Trust but verify everything, Mr. Ivey. Drop Squad 52. Dropping science to anyone who wants to catch it. And I'm blowing kisses to America. Peace.
Thank you for explaining that, and you're not blowing kisses to me. Well, I mean, we can all have our opinion, but it's very clear that you don't know what you're talking about, sir. And what I would suggest is you do some heavy reading. That's what I would suggest. I would suggest that you do some heavy reading outside of the ideological bubble that you currently get your information from, because a lot of what you have to say is, it just don't make any sense. And it's just not factual. And it's just what it is. And unfortunately for you, I do know what I'm talking about. And I just can't let it go on. You're not going to miseducate the masses here. So I get it. For me, unfortunately, every time America says somebody's a scary bad guy, I don't necessarily always think that. That's called being a free thinker. And going back to what I told you I learned from nonpartisan surface, sir, I haven't been to CNN in a long time, is that it was a mistake. Through outside the Republican Party, everybody is saying that. And even members of the Republican Party are saying that. So I get what the spin is, but the truth is the truth and the facts are the facts. And that's it. And again, I'll say, this idea that you can take out one person and that all of a sudden it's just going to come collapsing on itself, it's racist. It's racist to believe that these other countries could work in such a primitive fashion where one guy's got all the plans on a piece of paper in his back pocket. And when they kill Soleimani, it's like, well, we got to start from scratch. As I said earlier, he's already been replaced. And his replacement is vowing revenge on America, which sounds very much like Soleimani. So what did we gain? Well, some people will say that we gained, and I was watching a retired general. Matter of fact, this was on CBS within the last 24 hours, General Petraeus. And he wouldn't take an opinion as to whether he thought it was the right thing to do or not. But what he did say is that it was a display of American power. Now, how long has America been doing this? Displaying its power. And I would say that real power don't have to power trip. That's what I would say. But again, my man, I think you should look outside of your ideological bubble and read and consume media from people who are not in the pockets of the Republican Party. If you're listening to Rush Limbaugh and these folks, they're going to sound very intelligent, very articulate. They're going to be funny with it. They're going to make it entertaining. But they're in the bag for Trump. I'm not in the bag for anybody. I'm in the bag for the American people. And as an American, I'm like, well, how does this serve my interests? And I still wonder. But again, we can debate over and over again. Hopefully nothing else will happen. But you never know with this guy. You never know. I say stop the lies. Mason Marler writes, bologna sandwich wrapped around an orange with a mustard pickle. Exactly. Tracy writes, Fame, when we as kids were bored in the Faye, we had to go get a mop and a bucket, period. Clue Magic writes, I know who Denard is working for, Sister Iris, but I also know who will try to oppose and block her. And Amy Murray will be on the side to block or she will abstain. She is not an ally. She is not an ally. Brother Mazone's in the house. Miss Tiffany's in the house. She writes, good morning. Ray writes, I'm definitely for medicinal marijuana. Who wouldn't be? Who wouldn't be? I mean, it makes perfect sense. This is natural. If you're dealing with nausea? Or are you dealing with cancer? Are you dealing with chronic pain? Are you dealing with dementia? Are you dealing with any number of issues that scientists say medicinal marijuana could have a positive impact on your quality of life? Why would you deny that from people? The reason why marijuana was stigmatized is because a lot of people looked at it as a black thing, especially when hip hop was really promoting it. And law enforcement used this as a precursor to stop you, surveil you, go through your stuff, go through your car. Oh, the dogs picked up some marijuana. So what? So what? I think we should focus law enforcement on things that are worthy of law enforcement. And marijuana, to me, it's just not that. It ain't that serious to me. Man, I see people going through lights at intersections in Cincinnati. That's more important than marijuana. You got to stop that marijuana from coming to the Queen City. We need more marijuana. Cincinnati will be a better place when it's open and recreationally and you can smoke and drink as much as you want to, because that's what adults want to do anyway. Let's keep it real. You want to drink and smoke and eat what you want to eat and then go home and have sex. That's what you want to do. So stop the lies, man, with this marijuana. Marijuana should never have been illegal in the first place, in my opinion. But it is what it is. And it seems like we're moving to a more progressive tomorrow. And I guess that's enough. Maya writes, F Reverend Lynch. He's selling weed. He's a penis head and a false prophet. Debate your grandma. Well, again, maybe you got some personal issues with Reverend Lynch. I do not. I don't have any personal issues. Again, I say, me personally, I don't think there's a contradiction at all to be the leader of a church. This is leadership in the new millennia to me. I don't think it's a contradiction at all. In fact, I didn't even know they was doing it. And I remember when we first heard, I had no idea that Reverend Lynch was involved with this. And I remember when I first heard about medicinal, recreational marijuana. And I did have Reverend Lynch in mind because I know they have some property out there with New Prospect and they're doing some big things out there. And I remember saying, online, just suggesting like, look, if you got a church and you got some land, get into the business. What's wrong with that? And then I found out later on that, he was involved not with the church, but, like a separate thing. And I don't see any contradictions at all. Do you? What's the contradiction? I don't get it. Mike Jones writes, the con-in-chief said he wouldn't have time to golf without criticizing Obama. Of course, the liar-in-chief have used over $100 million in taxpayer money golfing, playing way more golf than Obama ever did on his own golf courses. Well, the one thing that we now know, and I think it's pretty much confirmed, but if you've been listening to this show for any length of time, you already know this, and that is that Trump tells himself all the time. Whatever Trump accuses the Democrats of doing or Obama doing, that's what he's doing. When Trump was running for office and he was like, oh, Obama's on the golf course all the time, he was laughing his ass off because he knew that if he was elected president, he was going to be on the golf course the whole time. Just pay attention to it if you don't already hip to it. Anytime Trump accuses someone else of doing something, that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. That's his tell. Let me see. Mason Marler writes, is that you, Herman Cain? Has Ben Carson's wife been released? Has Ben Carson's wife released her CD? Cue the tape, Nate. Maya writes, right, Dillingham, the black community makes too many excuses for bad behavior and trying to qualify by comparing to something white folks do. It has become insufferable. Does the black community make too many excuses for bad behavior? I don't think so. Give me some examples of the black community, not me, but the black community making excuses for bad behavior. I don't hear that. I don't hear that from black people. I hear black people going hard at other black people when they make mistakes. I don't hear no excuses. What are you talking about, Maya? You just making shit up this morning. Maya writes, new drink, a triple of Hennessy and a backwash of cranberry juice. Damn, I'm ready. I'm hyped because I'm amped. Angela writes, what are minorities going to demand be done? Are there any class action lawsuits being filed or are we just talking? Well, we're just talking right now because this is a talk show, and that's what you do on a talk show. You talk. But are you saying in reference to what? The man had done a class action lawsuit about what exactly? I'm not sure what you're talking about. You talking about Doug Evans? Ray writes, correct. Interesting that the same fervor used to investigate Judge Tracy Hunter with no ineptness on Evans. Right. I'm saying, that's what I've sat back and watched. I've sat back and watched the media go super hard locally at black women, at black people. Right? Tracy Hunter was all in the headlines because she committed some crime. It was the worst thing ever. How could she commit a crime? Oh, my God. Doug Evans had a criminal conspiracy when he was robbing and defrauding the public. And simultaneously, perhaps, retarding the growth of minority-owned and small businesses. And I just see a couple articles here and there. So I'm going to keep talking about it. Angela writes, what are the action steps? Talk is cheap. Well, it depends on where you are. Here, talk is a major currency. Talk is not cheap here. Are you saying action steps in terms of what exactly? This is at 8:48, so a little bit while ago. Maybe I was talking about Doug Evans. I don't know. But the latest on that is that Tamaya Denard has a proposal that appears to be a response to the news stories of Doug Evans. And so we were talking about that this morning. Iris writes that, Angela, I believe there are some actions that council could take. It would be good to have Councilwoman Denard on to discuss any process related that are currently in the books that council can apply. Okay, I'll reach out to her and see if she's available. Let me see. Are there any minorities on the oversight committee or committees tasked with reviewing and verifying criteria? It's a good question. That's a very good question. Very fair. Mason Muller writes, not only has the Trump Foundation shut down for his misconduct, that the president has been forced to pay $2 million for misusing charitable funds for his own political gain. Charities are not a means to an end, which is why these damages speak to the president's abuse of power and represent a victory for nonprofits that follow the law. Angela writes, black folks whining and moaning is not an effective plan of attacking racist behavior. Who's whining and moaning? Who's whining and moaning? Who are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about, Angela. See here. Drop right. Shout out to the alt middle, howling with a purpose. Really? Mason Muller writes, Drop believes that. Trust but verify LMBAO at conservatives on a daily basis. Cassandra writes, if a black man had done that, his business would be shut down. He would be under the jail. He would be barred from getting city contracts and would have to sacrifice his firstborn. We can't do what they do. I agree. If Doug Evans was black, I think that the punishment would be more severe. But I also think that the media coverage would be more intense as well. Because that's what I've seen. That's what I've seen. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Kush writes, shout out to Nate and the Choppers. Good morning to you. CG Dubs in the house. She writes, good morning. Tony writes, Savannah Guthrie asks Pence just that question about whether killing one person is actually eliminating the imminent danger. Dude skated around her like he was qualifying for the Olympics. Right. Because the truth is that killing one person doesn't really make a difference. It make a difference to us. I think we're less safe because now you done pissed off two nations full of people who are looking at us like, we got to get revenge. I just feel like these international matters are sold to the American public like it's black and white. Good guy, bad guy. You've heard it asked, you heard this word used over and over again, like Drop used it this morning. And if you watch the media and the coverage of Iran, they use this word as well. Bad guy, bad guy. They want it to be so simple to us. Good guy, bad guy. The world is not black and white. These international issues are very complex. Timing has as much to do with some of the actions as do who this person is and what they did. But, you know, they want us to be simpletons to just, black and white. No. I think there's a lot of considerations that should be taken in place before you make a move. There's a reason why Bush and there's a reason why Obama didn't, go after Soleimani. There's a reason why. And maybe they just weighed the benefits and the cons outweighed the pros. Could be. We'll never know. Unless Tracy says something. Tracy writes, unless Obama says something about it, which I doubt he really will. Tracy writes, I saw an Evans landscaping truck go by yesterday when I was at lunch. I just shook my head, right? Yeah, that's what people should do. I mean, and again, if you're one of the poor workers out there, you're just a working guy. Although I think they all knew what was going on. It was kind of like, hey, man, we eating, so it's all good. Pat's in the house. She writes, good morning. Drop, think he has followers, LOL. Hercules for Baghdad Bob of the Chop Shop. Angela writes, that's shrugging it off and finding another job to bid on is BS mentality and precisely why this has happened and will happen again. Well, I mean, I think it would be naive to think that Doug Evans is the only person that's been doing this. Again, I've talked to people in that business and they told me that they feel very strongly that this shit has been going on for a long time. I think now city council has a role. There's something they can do to try to do something about it, at least from the city perspective. And maybe Tamaya Denar's proposal could be the beginning of that. Could be. Angela writes, Evans Landscaping is still maintaining their generational wealth. Correct. I guess. I'm not sure what their books say, but they seem to be doing well. Like I said, Tracy said she just saw a truck. I haven't seen one in a long time, but that doesn't mean they should continue to get city contracts. Doesn't mean that. Kush writes, he's talking to Ray. TNT's in the house. She writes, good morning. Hey, good to see you. Amaya writes, Nathan, you wrong. IDC, board kids got Tracy Hunter removed from the bench. Brother, I hear what you're saying. You've made that point before. I disagree with you. I think it was political posturing and white supremacy that got Tracy Hunter removed from the bench. That's just me personally. Now, you seem to think it has something to do with the case of the 4 black kids or the 5 black kids. To me, it wouldn't have mattered what the case was. Sometimes when they out to get you, they out to get you. And it don't really matter what they got to use. Don't really matter. That's just how it is. Tony writes, Rand Paul coming out of Republican umbrella and speaking his mind. Maybe Nate is right. We are living in the last days. Well, I think somebody made the point earlier. Rand Paul has always been he's less vocal about it when a Republican is in the White House. But, you know, through Obama and even now with Trump, he's one of those guys one of those senators who feels like the U.S. president shouldn't be a monarch. So it is what it is. Ray writes that Nathan, not just black, we had 2 white youth of the 3 we took home. Amaya writes, you represent the issue in schools. The simple facts you qualify with right is right and wrong is wrong tells me you know better. Paradigm shift, mentality. It's time, Nathan. Quick accepting penis headry. Okay. Okay, I'm not even sure what you're talking about. Tracy writes, I just saw $25 when I clicked the link, says donation. Oh, okay. So they might be accepting donations or asking for donations, but the class is free. That's great. I mean, I 100% support Jeff Pastor and what he's doing. 100%. 100%. I'm sure he's going to help a lot of people. Let me see. Drop writes, the class is free, but the insurance is $25. Could be. I'll tell you, though, that I would like to do another class in a series of not I like to. We are certainly going to do classes with people who already got their CCW class, so we can spend some time on the range. We can call it range time. That's most certainly going to happen. But what I'd like to do is to do another CCW class for people who don't have it, so that you can get your CCW class so then you can join us. You know, to do the second part of it, you've got to have a CCW. They're not going to let you on the range. You can't be a part of class unless you have it. You know, that's what we're going to do. And when we do that, there will be a cost associated. And I do believe that it's worth it. And you're going to get what you pay for. You're going to get a quality session with professionals, and you're going to have quality time with them so that you can walk out of there and feel as if you've learned something. I'll be honest with you. I still remember almost everything that I learned in that class. I can remember it as clear as day. And, it was knowledge that I think will serve me as I move forward. And if you like to be a part of it, when you put the word out, you're more than welcome. In fact, that's why we're doing it, for this audience and beyond. Now, if people want to do the free class or do it, Mr. Pastor, I 100% respect it. You should do whatever you feel most comfortable with. It's just an opportunity that we're providing. You either take it or you don't take it. But that's what we plan to do. And if you want to get into some more of the tactical parts, you've got to get your CCW. And you must have that in place before you're going to be allowed to be in the other classes. So just to give you a heads up. Let me see. Mason Marler writes, Trump punked out. You're talking about with no response to Iran. Some people look at it that way, but you know what? If you're a head of state, it can't be about ego. It's got to be about what's best for the country. It's got to be about what's best for the people, in my opinion. Maybe Trump decided, you know what? A military escalation right now isn't good for us. Give him props for that if, in fact, that's necessary. But again, you take us to the brink and then you pull us back. Well, the question is, why'd you take us to the brink? I don't know. Mike Jones writes, what was the imminent threat? Even Rand Paul knows the liar in chief is a con. Maya writes, the dream is free, but the hustle is sold separately. I was threatened with gunplay by 2 choppers. When we see each other, let's see how quick you are on that draw. Let's not do that. Maya writes, Nathan is an acceptable raconteur, but he can be fronting. But he be fronting, he says. Fronting about what, Maya? I mean, how much more honest can I tell you? Can I be? You ask me a question, I give it to you straight. No chaser. It is what it is. I'm not sure what you mean. TNT writes, LOL, I smell biscuits. Angela writes, I'm going to communicate with engaged Cincy so I will obtain the information I seek. I just don't do well with the complaining. And if it was a black man scenario playing, we are where we are because to some extent we allow it based on our counter moves or lack thereof. Okay. Please, again, when you get some information, please share it with us. If you feel inclined to do so, I'd appreciate it. So we can be as educated as possible. Drop calls are beginning to become as annoying as John. You know what? That's on me, Miss Tiffany. I dragged that out longer than I possibly should. And it is what it is. Pam writes, wow, Drop actually believes things that Trump says. This man is as much of a joke that Trump is. Yeah, I mean, Trump can be a lot of things, but he's not a credible source. And again, I don't know the man. Something tells me on a personal level, I don't know. We might be cool. I don't know. It ain't personal. I don't have no personal beefs with nobody. This is about policy and what's good for the country. I don't think that Trump's policies are good for working class Americans, black or white. I don't think his overall deregulation of all industries is good for working class people. It might be good for rich folks, captains of industry. It might be good for them, but the vast majority of the country is not them. So I think the policies, I mean, you want policies going to work for everybody. It should have the maximum impact for the betterment of the country, in my opinion. And I don't think that Trump is that guy. It ain't personal. I don't know the man. I don't want to know the man. If I got an invitation to the White House, would I go? It depends on the circumstances. If it was, I'm not going to party, but if I thought I could go and they're going to ask me give me a chance for a floor, maybe I can put something to somebody's ear or represent, I go. I don't want to go party with him and Melania, though. Nah. Who knows? They might be great party people. Who knows? But again, this for me is not personal. It's what's best for the community. I just don't think that Trump is all that good for the community, his policies overall. We can agree to disagree. I don't know. I think a drop kiss is due after all that. Geez, I dance for Nathan. Ivy. See, don't do that, Cam. Mason Marler writes, I dance for Limbaugh. Limbaugh? TNT writes, because war is supposed to be approved by Congress. Yeah, but I think that if there's an imminent danger, the president is allowed to deploy troops for a short amount of time. So I've even read that some people are suggesting that perhaps Donald Trump should be impeached for killing General Soleimani. We'll see. All this stuff is chaotic and complex for a reason. It's a reason, because they don't want the people to know what's really going on. Sister V writes, Nathan, I'd like to encourage the choppers to please email the elected officials, council, and commissioners and demand that they cease any contracts with Evans. Any contract given under the phony system will potentially cause the denial of black contractors should sue for the return of that money. Then the money could then be allocated to black contractors to specifically assist them in building capacity to compete against larger companies. Whatever you choose, please express your concerns to your elected officials. They need to hear your voice on this matter. I agree with that. I think that's an excellent idea. Yeah, especially considering Tamai Denard has this motion, this proposal that she's going to put for council. And then that'll send a message, or at least let other members of council know that there's people watching this, there's people that care about this, and there's people that want to see the right thing be done. And even if you don't get a response, I think that it still can have an impact, because people might not respond, but they still see it. So I agree with you. Matter of fact, do it on Twitter. Let's see. Pamela writes, Glenn, I think Drop has a Napoleon complex towards you. Really? I don't think that Drop is short. I think he's a tall guy from the images I saw. The briefing was not satisfactory to even Republicans on why the hit was made in the first place. Correct. Why does Trump breathe so hard when reading from the teleprompter? It's creepy. Because he's not in good shape. Drop Limbaugh, a.k.a. Smooches. Smooches now? I will not refer to Drop as Smooches. That's hilarious. Pamela writes, Sister V, he sniffs like he is on cocaine. Tony writes, reading is exhausting to some people. Pamela writes, he sniffed 58 times during the speech. Is that right? Sister V writes, Nathan, can you find and play John Kerry interview on MSNBC interview on The Last Word? He actually explained the money the U.S. paid to Iran. Really? Was that a recent conversation? Tracy writes, Sister V, because you can't read, but because you're trying to in front of the world, it creates a panic attack. Yeah, I mean, here you are standing up in front of the world. I mean, I'm sure that is going to get your blood rushing, heart pumping, and then Trump's completely out of shape. So, Klumazic writes, they didn't do shit to the Sandman family. White tears. The Sandmans were at home laughing when they started the suit. Now they've cashed in. It was all a money grab. CNN had the misfortune of believing the initial BS. Mike Jones writes, self-hate is a powerful drug. I agree. Dropping Nathan has the same back and forth for 20 minutes every day. Well, we had the same back and forth, and it usually isn't for 20 minutes. We had the same back and forth over the last 2 days. Yeah, we've been talking about this damn Soleimani stuff. Cam writes, stop, drop, shut them down, open up shop. Oh no, that's how black Trumpsters roll. That's hilarious. What? You going Rough Riders on them, Cam? Damn. Jesse writes, stop being nice, Nathan. Call him a liar. Angela's yawning. Mason Marler writes, you were either wrong or you were lying, right? Yeah, I mean, everybody, shit, you can't have all the information in your head. And I mean, shit, people, sometimes you thought you saw something, you thought you read something, you was wrong. It happens. It's no big deal. Notice how Drop doesn't want to get into it. That's because he doesn't know what he won't get into. Pay attention. Tracy writes, U.S. cancer rates drops. Hashtag news. Is that news? Cam writes, even when the Trumpsters are wrong, they are right. Hashtag Trump game. Clue Magic writes, oh, you are struggling for sure, bro. Pamela writes, Trump is the one that backed down. Tracy writes, Facebook says it will still let politicians lie in ads. Yeah, she writes hashtag news. Well, everything we're talking about is news, Tracy. I know people want to control the show for me and tell me what to talk about, but that ain't gonna never happen. Okay. You know, everything we talk about is news. And that is actually particular old news, because I remember when Mark Zuckerberg, he went before Congress. This is going back to like October of last year. And, you know, the Republicans in Congress and the Democrats in Congress are all upset with Facebook. And primarily the Democrats are upset with Facebook because they feel like Facebook allowed Trump to win. And that's not necessarily true. Facebook was weaponized by the Trump administration in a very sophisticated way. Trump was smart to use social media in 2016, and he did it very well. It helped him win. There's nothing illegal about it. So, and again, we talked about this back in October when that news was fresh, because Mark Zuckerberg was brought before the Congress, and as he was testifying, he talked about this new policy. And the new policy is that they're going to continue to do political ads on Facebook. Now, Twitter and some of the other social media giants are not going to do that. They're taking a different approach. But Facebook announced last year that they were going to allow political ads. And, you know, we spent some time talking about it because I thought it was relevant, especially what happened with 2016 and then looking forward to 2020 now. So that means you can still put political ads up on Facebook. There can be untruths, you want to put it that way, that's a part of your campaign, and they're not going to police that because they believe that the media and that the people are intelligent enough to kind of figure it all out. Now, Twitter, they're not doing it, and some of the other social media giants, Instagram and others, have different policies, but I do remember talking about that. You see, Clue Magic writes, that's your struggle voice, which sounds like your normal voice, so it must be normal to be a struggle. That's hilarious. Mason Marler writes, cocaine is a hell of a drug. Angela's out. She says, be well, all. Be well, Angela. Have a great day. Let's see. Mike Jones writes, what kind of argument is that? Your drop was all over the place. Tony writes, you're starting to sound as lame as John from New Jersey. Maya writes, Twitter is making another change. You will soon be able to control who all replies to your tweets. The app will have jumped the shark when it does this. So you can, what now? Control who replies to your tweets. Like, why would you want to do that? Like, maybe you're trying to block somebody or something like that? I don't know, man. It'll be important. America KKK is a terrorist state also. Well, see, as Americans, it's not polite to say that about America. But one of the points I was trying to make about drop is that who is the terrorist is in the eye of the beholder. You know what I'm saying? It depends on your perspective. So throwing that T word around, because for me, I think there's a lot of domestic terrorists who are operating in the United States, some of them in an official capacity. Right. But when I say that, other people will be like, oh, well, that's wrong, Nate. So, if you go to Iran, so imagine, we say that Iran is a terrorist state, but just hypothetically speaking, just flip this. So I'm not sure if you've seen it, but yesterday, Donald Trump was standing in between two what appeared to be like, one was a general, I think the other was an admiral, looking very official. You know, they had the whole uniform on. Could you imagine if Iran, let's say that you had a general that was visiting Mexico. So the general is a U.S. general in Mexico. Iran sends a drone and kills this general. Would we look at that as terrorism? And something tells me that a lot of people in America would say that's a terrorist act. So when we start throwing a T word around, I'm just saying it really depends on the context, and it's really in the eye of the beholder. Cam writes, Nathan, stay out of the rabbit hole. I'll try. Basically, Drop said, I'm not Malcolm Nance because Drop is expected to lie to the choppers. What the? I got that too, man. So I didn't understand what he was saying at the point. Tracy writes, major storm about to hit from Dallas to Mississippi. #news. Can you drop a link for us? Pamela writes, did he just say Trump knows how to negotiate? Yes, he did. Yes, she did. Clue Magic writes, all I know is if Trump doesn't win 2020, Drop will drop out of the chop shop. No, he won't. Because what'll happen then is, and that's how the Republicans do. When their guys in the White House, it's nonstop Anthony Munoz. It's nonstop Tim Krumrie. It's nonstop, Andrew Whitworth. They're blocking. When a Democrat's in the White House, oh my God, it's attack mode. Nonstop attack. Running BS 24/7. Something tells me that's probably, what Drop's posture will be. He'll start criticizing if there's a Democrat president, who that president is. And again, that's cool. That's your perspective. Do you? Tracy writes, Drop should only be able to call in twice a week. I would not say that, no. Drop writes, thanks for allowing me to flow. We need a race draft. Who would we trade Drop for? Donnie Wahlberg? Sting? Nah, I think we should keep Drop. Pat writes, still blowing kisses. Yes, he is. Somebody writes, Tim Wise. Nah, not even for Tim Wise. In fact, I haven't even been hip to Tim Wise. Is he still doing this thing? Let me check him out. Let me go to his website. It's been a minute. I haven't even been hip to Tim Wise lately. Tim Wise is a white male, self-proclaimed anti-racist essayist, author, and educator. He ain't an activist. And he's got some great flows, man. Great flows. Okay, I'm seeing he's still doing this thing. Cool. Let me see here. Oh, okay, he's got a podcast. Wait. I take that back. He hasn't been on it for a while. October 18th, 2017. What's up with Tim Wise lately? He hasn't been, at least not on this website. I don't know. He's got good flows. I like Tim Wise. Mike, let's trade Drop for Tim Wise. No. Jericho writes, LOL, yes, I'm still married, but y'all married folks didn't tell me how much work it is. Yes, we did, Jericho. I tried to tell you. I told you that if me and my wife and I got married in our 20s, I was in my late 20s, she was in her mid 20s. I'd say 6-7 months into our marriage, we're sitting at home chilling, because that's what you do when you marry and you have kids. You're just chilling. And she looked at me and I looked at her and we said, you know what? We didn't really have to get married. And that was a different circumstance. We could have just kicked it. She come to my house, I come to her house, and we just be boyfriend and girlfriend. We could have did that. Marriage is super hard because what makes marriage so hard is, at first, what was hard about marriage for me was just sharing space with another human being. I'm a very independent kind of person. I'm an introvert, if you don't already know that about me. And I like my alone time and my quiet time. Always have, always will. And so my biggest concern about marrying another woman and being with a woman on a regular basis was, could I just spend time? Could I be in the same space all the time with somebody else? And, our circumstances was different. When you don't have children, it's different. You know what I'm saying? So I had much more free time than I have now. But other than that, monogamy is an issue, that has some difficult points with it. You struggle with it, especially when you're used to, having relationships with different people. But overall, I like marriage. I like marriage because I look at marriage as a business. I like the idea of growing something with another human being. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's investments or children or whatever it is, I like that. And the wifey that's my partner. So it's work, but it's fun work too. Because right now, Jericho, you and your husband don't have kids, right? So y'all honeymooning with no kids. That's a great spot. I would say enjoy it. Enjoy that phase of your marriage for as long as possible. You know what I'm saying? If you can do it, maybe you delay having kids for about 5-6 years, because then you can just date each other and get into one another. So I know everything's going to be great. Y'all be fine. Ray writes, it was in the 30 or 40. White men rallied that white women would smoke it and desire black men. You're right about that. You're talking about the origins of marijuana becoming illegal. Right. Yeah, there was an interesting book. Let me see if I have it here behind me. Yeah, I got this book many years ago, and it was all about the history of drugs in this country. It was written many years ago. Probably she needs to be updated. I don't have it in front of me. Maybe sometime in the future I'll pull it to the side. Sharp writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Cassandra writes, everything is bad when black people do it. Until white people figure out a way to make a profit off of it, then it's perfectly safe. It's the American way. You know, what I'll say to it is that there's different levels of awareness. And I don't make the mistake of thinking that everybody has information. You know, I don't make that mistake. Like sometimes we can think like, oh, everybody knows about Doug Evans. Everyone does not know about that. There's many people that don't even know anything about that story. And I think that the part of the role for black media, number one, is just education, letting people know what's going on. You know, that requires talking. You know, the actions will come afterward, because if you're ignorant to what's going on, then you don't know what the fuck's going on. You don't know whether you should be outraged or whatever, because you have no idea about it. So I know there's people in the audience who are super on top of it. You in the media more than I am. And so from your standpoint, it's kind of like, I know this already. But from my standpoint, I understand that there are people in the audience that come in and out. They have different levels of engagement, even with local news. And so I want to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. You know, I think that's a proper role of it, of good black media, the new millennium. That's part of it. Let me see here. But I agree with you, Cassandra, completely. Maya writes, Tracy Hunter, the male rompist, the Gang of Five. Just for starters, B. Okay, so I asked you. Okay. Okay, so we just differ on Tracy Hunter. We differ on the malls. We differ on the Gang of Five. We just have different opinions. Tracy Hunter was the victim of white supremacy and, dirty tricks played by Republican politicians. That's a fact. Ain't no doubt about that. Period. For me, I saw, and again, people can say, well, she should have did this, she should have did that. You know what? It's always some should have did this and that when it comes to black folks. Michael Coleman, he was the president over there at United Way. He should have did this, he should have did that. Tracy Hunter, she should have did this, she should have did that. Liz Rogers, she should have did this, she should have did that. Colonel Twitty, he should have did this, he should have did that. I mean, it's always some BS when it comes to us. You know, that's how I look at Tracy Hunter. The mall rompers, that was people over-exaggerating. That was an over-exaggeration. Bunch of black kids unsupervised. Everybody want to lose their mind. Now, growing up in Cincinnati, I used to be one of those teenagers. Just trying to have fun. Gang of Five. I think the Gang of Five was an important wake-up call for the 5 Democrats involved, in the sense that those are the rules. But as a Cincinnati taxpayer, I'm just still trying to figure out why it deserved all of the attention that it got. And there's so many other issues that are more important. Like I said, I think the Doug Evans issue was more important than Gang of Five, but it's not going to get as much time. It's not going to get as much play in the local media. I mean, to me, what happened with Doug Evans can be traced back to the dearth of black wealth. You know, the Gang of Five story to me was politically motivated. It was more about P.G. Sittenfield and Christopher Smitherman. That's if you water all down, that's what I think. So again, Meyer, it's just fame. It's just a difference of opinion, man. We just see things differently. And one thing that you missed is you forgot about the black girl over in Kennard. You know, little black girl got tased because she had $47 worth or $51 worth of stuff she was taking. You know, and true to my word, I told you I would go to the police and tell them that. I went down to lodge number 69 during a press conference, and I told them, listen, I got $50 for you. You don't have to tase these black girls. Yeah, thank you for that. Oh, thank you for that, Pat. Appreciate it. You know my spelling is not what it needs to be. You already know. Drop writes, Cam, why the kisses were because of your request. Oh, boy. No more kisses. I think it should be an eye for an eye. We killed one of their leaders. They have every right to come here and kill Trump. We won't retaliate. Drop will be mad, though, LOL. Well, I hear what you're saying. I know you're just kind of joking a little bit, Cassandra. I get you. I don't want to see that happen. I don't want to see any wars. That would certainly escalate to a war. There's no doubt about that. And while the casualties might not be where we live in Cincinnati, I mean, around the world, somebody's baby's going to die. Children, innocents. And I think about that, you know, but I get your point. I understand what you're trying to say. Clue Magic writes, Drop acts like the Iranians don't love their leadership like he loves Donald Trump. The same way you get up for Trump, Iranians get up for their leader. Yeah, I think we forget that sometime in this country. We only think about things from our viewpoint. There's a whole world of perspectives out there. Avery writes, good morning. Drop writes, elections have consequences. Win and repeat. Tuesday, 5 white desperate Democrats will try to convince America they can do a better job than the orange one. Black votes matter, or do they? Well, we know black votes matter. And the black vote will play a significant role in deciding the next president. If the Democrats are smart, they will absorb the ideas, the concerns of black females, the black community, and come up with policies that will excite people, that will entice people. You know, people want to be excited. They want to be excited. They want to be like, yeah, this is going to be change. You know, like they did with Obama, whether you got the change that you were looking for or not. I'm not really sure that you're going to have that in 2020. You might. You might. Maya writes, Drop is trolling the F out of y'all. Look at his last Twitter post. He's military. What do you expect? TNT writes, Savannah Guthrie also stumped Pence after his rehearsed rant about us being in imminent danger that they never revealed. But basically, she said, if we were in imminent danger, why did Trump allow the pre-warned missile strikes to hit when we have the capability to shoot them down in the air? Why trust so-called a terrorist regime to do what they say they are going to do? Pence, stick to the script. Oh, really? That's an interesting comeback from Savannah Guthrie. That's a good question. That's a good question. So basically, the Iranians pre-warned us, and we took them for their word. So wait a minute. So now we taking the so-called enemy for their word? All I'm saying is there's an effort out there to try to make it seem like the only civilized people are Americans. And that ain't true. They want to make it seem like the Iranians are just bloodthirsty. They're just so mad at us because we can watch Star Wars movies and Tyler Perry got a brand new studio and we got freedoms that they just want to kill us. There are some people who believe that. And I think that is ridiculous thinking. But again, there's some people that think that about non-white folks, about black folks, that you're inherently aggressive. And that's the reason why I resent and I resist the way that the local media portrayed those teenagers at a mall. It's a mall. That's what teenagers do. The reality of it is that Northgate Mall should have had more security on duty, period. They should have had more security on duty, period, because of what happened over in Kenwood the year before, but they did not. So you have less security than you need to. Unbeknownst to you, these black teenagers want to get lit, bitch, at the mall. They choose your mall. They come running through. It's crazy. But some people like to engage in the business of overly criticizing black teenagers, and I think it makes them feel better about themselves or something like that. Not me. Not me. TNT writes, the Congress is filled with BSRs. Hashtag BSR, brainwashed, spineless Republicans. I like that. He did an act of war by assassinating their general. Yeah, I agree. Klumazic writes, Iran paid $400 million for some weapons which were to be supplied by the United States. They never got the weapons. Obama gave them their own money back plus the interest it gained while sitting in a bank. The two repulsive Republicans will have you to believe Obama gave them new money. The money was already Iran's. Right. Ray writes, just suggestions, no control. I appreciate it. Sister V writes, John Kerry interview was on last evening. He kind of went off about Trump's hate for Obama driving his decisions. Okay, I'll look for it. Mike Jones writes, what you do seems easy, but it's really not it, Nate. You make it look easy. I appreciate it. Sister V writes, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. Exactly. I mean, the British government looked at them good old boys, right? Washington and them boys. We call them founding fathers. But to the British monarchy, the British crown, they were terrorists. I just feel like terrorist is whoever the people in power want to claim it is. I mean, to me, when you get one of these mentally whatever persons and they want to commit a mass shooting, especially if there's some kind of political motivation, that's a terrorism. When Dylan Roof walked into that church in Charleston and killed 9 individuals, that was terrorism. That's what I thought it was. The mainstream media, they struggled with whether they would label it terrorism or not. To me, it was very clear. To others, they're like, no, that's not terrorism. That's just some crazy guy. So people throw that word around all the time. Mason Marler raised great point, Nate. We would say this is a terrorist act. Right. Could you imagine another country targeting one of our generals? Maybe it's a general that, I don't know, did something significant in Afghanistan. And they kill him with a laser targeted Predator class drone. That would be considered an act of war. Because it's already happened. It's called Pearl Harbor. And what did this country do? Now, of course, if you look at some of the non-mainstream history books, what they'll tell you now is that there is some belief among historians that Pearl Harbor was allowed to happen because the United States was operating under an isolationist ideology at the time. And this was used to draw the United States into the war. There are some credible historians who've written in detail about this, including they say they have facts to back it up. So again, this gets very complicated. And sometimes it appears one way and it's really not that way. That's all I'm saying. Cam writes, Nathan, when is Black Lion due to be released from the NI Show prison? Well, it's a prison of his own making, if that's what you want to call it. But let me check the books here. I think that is coming up in like late July, I believe it is. Mason Marler writes, Nate was a hoe. I really wouldn't call it that, but Jericho writes, don't get me wrong, I love my husband and being married, but damn. Well, and the other thing is, if you used to making decisions all by yourself and now you got to make decisions and take into consideration what this other human being is saying, that gets hard. Because you're thinking like, well, damn, I used to be able to do whatever I wanted to do. Now I got to consider you. That can be very hard for people, especially if you start talking about the future and do you want to own a home and where do you want to live and are you going to have kids and this, that, and the other, all the particulars that make out a great life. That shit gets hard, but I still think it's worth it. Again, marriage is business. Marriage is business. That's it. You should be making money together, getting resources together, getting properties together. If you're not doing that, then you might as well just be by yourself. Cam writes, Black Lions bring some balance after drops nonsense. Seems to be a fair exchange. Maybe. Maybe not. Maya writes, Jericho going to be like 52 in 5 years. Really? Why? Mason Marler writes, me and my wife lived together for a year before marriage. I was sinning early. I know despite what the Bible says, I'm a big proponent of tasting the milk before you actually buy the whole carton. Yeah, nothing wrong with it. Yeah, Jesus will still love you after you've been shacking up with the man or the woman you end up getting married to. To me, I don't see it's a victimless crime. You know, shacking up before you get married and you end up getting married, that's a victimless crime. And I just can't believe with all the sins out here being perpetrated that God is going to be that upset because you were shacking up with your future wife. I just don't believe that. I don't believe in that kind of God. Maya writes, Tracy Hunter was a victim of her own arrogance. So was the Gang of Five. The Mall Nani Brook is the result of shitty moms. The Kroger thief is the victim of a bad mom. We got it. Black Russia's in the house. For the Chop Shot record, I'm 5'9", barefoot, but I stand tall. Oh, are you? I didn't know you was 5'9". That's pretty tall. That's pretty tall. I mean, so 5'9", 5'10", what's the difference? You know, it's all the same. So what? Doesn't really make a difference. I don't think I've thrown the number out a lot this morning, and we're about to get off, but I will throw it out there perhaps if somebody wants to put in a last call at 513-873-7134 if you'd like to share your thoughts. Again, shout out to Tamaya Denard for this proposal, and it looks like it's going to directly address, Evans Landscaping and other people like, Mr. Evans, Doug Evans, who might want to perpetrate a fraud and basically steal money from the city of Cincinnati. I thought it was so funny when during the trial it came out, his lawyer said, well, what's the problem here? Because they completed all the work. So they don't even see the problem. They don't even care about the impact because he did all the work on time and he never overran. I mean, whatever it takes, man. I guess this is why you have to get good lawyers. I may be out and about at an event coming up on. Coming up at an event on Martin Luther King Day, a roundtable conversation. I'll confirm with you later today and give you all the details. In fact, if you're going to be out, I might even do like a Facebook Live while I'm there so people can get a sense of what's going on. But that'll be coming up on Martin Luther King Day. And of course, it'll resurrect all those conversations about Martin Luther King and his death and his legacy. And if he lived today, would people be happy? And blah, blah, blah. I get it. But it seems what we tend to do. Black Russia writes, Reese versus Pillage is a true toss-up. Yeah, that's what people are saying. This morning I did read this. I didn't get a chance to listen to the That's So Cincinnati podcast. And everybody's good buddy, Jason Williams, is the host on that. And of course, he does a column as well. And he talks about some of the biggest races to watch, 3 must-watch Hamilton County primary races. But he left one out, which I thought was kind of odd. The first one he says is county commissioner. County commissioner. And you got Democrats Connie Pillage, Kelly Prather, and Alicia Reese. They're all battling out for Tart Pertoon's old seat. That's going to be huge because what that means, and, it doesn't really matter. What that means is that there is a real potential that you can have an all-female Hamilton County Commission moving forward. Now, the Republicans have a male candidate that the Democrat primary winner is going to face coming up in November. A white male candidate, I believe. And that means that whether it's Connie Pillage, Kelly Prather, or Alicia Reese, that person's going to go up against the Republican candidate, and then we'll see. If the Democrat wins, in November, it's going to be an all-female commission, period. Because right now you got 2 female commissioners. Todd Pertoon was the only male commissioner. And, we need that female touch in leadership, I think. I've been saying for years, I'll say it right now, we need a female touch when it comes to leadership. That'll be interesting. Connie Pillage has about 500. She got $500,000 in the bank. But Alicia Reese runs a strong campaign. And again, what do you think about I'm looking at the images here. They were provided. Okay, so she provided that image. Nothing wrong with that. The other race that Jason Williams wants us to focus on is the Hamilton County Sheriffs. You've got Democrats Charmaine McGuffey and Democrat Jim Neal, if in fact he really is a Democrat. And he seems to believe that the fact that Jim Neal went to a Trump rally is going to come back to bite him, which of course it is. Looks like the party is not going to support him. And again, Democrats might not support Jim Neal either. So that'll be interesting. Need a change down there. But he left out the primary for the Hamilton County prosecutor, which I thought was interesting. How do you do a story about 3 must-watch Hamilton County primary races, but you don't talk about the primary race for Hamilton County prosecutor? I think that's very interesting. Why do you think that he would omit that? Interesting. Mike Jones writes, MLK quote, I fear I've led my people into a burning house. Cassandra writes, 5'9" is tall for a midget. Tony writes, word of advice, if you're going to get a white lawyer to get you out of trouble, get the one with long city hair slicked back. They usually get you out of a jam. Just an observation. He said long, oily hair slicked back. Okay, that's the telltale sign right there. Black Russia writes, because Fanon is going to blow Gabe out. Hashtag alt middle. Okay. Could be. We shall see. We shall see. We don't know yet. Yeah, we don't quite know yet. Could be. But I think that the conversation between the two could yield some benefits, though. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, the writing could be on the wall. We don't know. I mean, is it safe to say that Fanon Rucker is more well-known locally than Gabe Davis? Yeah. I see Gabe Davis still campaigning, though. Got to catch up with brother Gabe Davis and bring him to the chop shop. Most certainly, you already know that. And perhaps catch up with Fanon Rucker as well as we get ready for the primary. Keep your eye. A lot of things are percolating. It's a lot of things happening this year. This is going to be a very, very, very important year locally, nationally. You already know that with the 2020 presidential election. But there's so many critical decisions that we're going to have to make individually that I can't wait to get into. Have an excellent day, choppers. Remember, winners focus on winning. Losers focus on winners. So stay focused and stay winning, and we'll talk real soon. I'm Nathan Ivey from Sin Digital Media, a new urban voice in the city of Cincinnati and beyond, and we'll talk real soon. I'm out.